What if I told you that the guilt you carry every day is a silent thief, robbing you of the joy that comes from simply being? In a world that glorifies busyness, taking time for yourself often feels like a betrayal. Yet, within the shadows of this guilt lies a powerful truth waiting to be uncovered. The Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, understood the importance of self-care, not as a luxury, but as a vital practice for resilience and clarity. Join us as we unravel 9 transformative lessons that challenge the guilt of self-indulgence and empower you to reclaim your time. So let's start with our first lesson, which is the 1% self-time rule. Imagine this. You start the day with energy, plans, and a sense of direction. But somewhere in the whirlwind of tasks, your intentions for yourself slip away. By evening, every effort to carve out time for yourself has faded. And what you're left with is guilt, the subtle, nagging kind that says you've let yourself down. The Stoics believed that profound change is seated in small acts. They advocated a simple but overlooked principle. Transformation begins with consistency, not grandeur. Epictetus himself said, "No great thing is created suddenly." So what if you took just 1% of each day, 14 minutes, to focus entirely on you, to reflect, breathe, move, or simply sit quietly? It's a modest request, almost unnoticeable, yet profoundly impactful. By starting with just 1% of your time, you're signaling that self-care is essential, not excessive. This modest interval doesn't demand much, yet it begins a shift. At first, guilt will remain a shadow. But as those 14 minutes become your daily ritual, guilt loses its power. You're no longer negotiating for time. You've claimed it, and day by day, you'll find a growing sense of balance, an assurance that you've taken something back for yourself. This 1% rule is a reminder that self-respect starts in the smallest moments. You'll begin to see that if 1% can bring peace, it can expand. Taking time for yourself doesn't need permission or approval. In honoring this small sliver of time, you're giving yourself the right to exist beyond the demands of others. It's not indulgence, it's survival. Second, the invisible hours. You might think of your day as fully booked, squeezed to the last minute. Yet between tasks, there are unclaimed minutes, a commute, waiting in line, a coffee break that could be yours alone. These are the invisible hours, the Stoics' hidden refuge for inner calm. Consider this. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's busiest leaders, often wrote in his journal during transitions, using fleeting minutes to regain control of his mind. He knew that waiting times weren't just interruptions, but opportunities to reset. These gaps become chances to practice self-presence, and in modern life, they're even more precious. Using these invisible hours for brief inner work can bring profound relief. No guilt, no fanfare, just peace found in the quiet between obligations. Instead of scrolling mindlessly during downtime, take a breath, observe your surroundings, or check in with yourself. Perhaps practice gratitude, or simply sit still. The world doesn't need to know. There's no guilt because these moments were never productive in the first place. They've always been outside others' claims on your time. Invisible hours give you a hidden strength. Over time, this practice expands. These subtle moments of presence bring calm, even when everything else is rushed. In these invisible hours, you don't owe anyone. You're free to breathe, reflect, and reaffirm your inner peace. Soon, they'll become essential. You'll see that a life of balance doesn't always need sweeping changes, just consistent acts of self-reclamation. Third, permission to own the no. Each time you agree to something you don't want, you're subtly denying yourself. Yet the guilt of saying no can feel crushing, as though each refusal is a betrayal. But imagine if each no was a quiet act of self-respect. The Stoics saw boundaries as a reflection of self-knowledge. Seneca understood the importance of a clear conscience, advising against spreading oneself too thin. He believed that time given without joy or willingness is time lost. Own the no is the practice of reclaiming your boundaries. It's not about rejecting others, but about accepting yourself. By saying no, you honor your priorities instead of diluting them to please others. When the next small favor or obligation arises, pause. Ask yourself if this aligns with your needs or values. If not, politely decline. The discomfort will be there, but each no you own builds strength against guilt. Over time, you'll start to feel lighter, understanding that saying no isn't selfish, it's preservation. As you learn to say no, you'll find more time for things that truly matter. The small act of refusal empowers you to live with purpose. Others may not understand immediately, but your conscience will be at peace. Over time, you're left with a life that's fuller, not because you've given more, but because you've chosen wisely. Saying no becomes an art form, a respectful boundary that reflects a deeper understanding of self-worth. Fourth, the freedom in brief nothingness. We often avoid doing nothing as though it's wasteful or lazy. But what if doing nothing was a quiet rebellion against guilt? The Stoics valued stillness and reflection as a route to clarity. For them, even a few minutes of nothingness held immense value. Epictetus taught that peace arises from patience and presence, not productivity. In a world obsessed with doing, embracing nothingness becomes an act of self-liberation. Schedule 5 minutes of your day to sit in silence, eyes closed, mind unburdened. Resist the impulse to turn it into a task. Just be. You'll feel resistance, the urge to get up, to check your phone, to accomplish something. That's guilt showing its face. Recognize it, but don't give in. In these moments, guilt loses its grip. These 5 minutes aren't indulgent, they're foundational. They remind you that your value isn't tied to constant action. The world doesn't stop because you do. Over time, these minutes of nothingness will feel necessary, a retreat from the demands that so often feel inescapable. This practice isn't about escaping the world, but about returning to it more grounded. As the habit grows, you'll see that this nothingness is rich with meaning. When you return to your day, you carry a renewed sense of presence and calm. You've reconnected with yourself in the purest way, free from guilt, anchored in peace. Fifth, the two things only method. A packed day feels productive, but at night, you're drained, and guilt nags at the things left undone. The Stoics believed deeply in simplicity. Their approach: focus on two things only, prioritize two meaningful tasks, and let go of the rest. Imagine the feeling of finishing the day with 2 tasks done well. Seneca saw value in investing fully in fewer things. Life is long if you know how to use it, he observed. When you choose only 2 goals, you embrace quality over quantity. If it's reading, working out, or even resting, those 2 tasks become your whole world for the day. You won't feel the need to hurry or spread yourself thin. Start each morning by listing only 2 priorities. As you finish them, pause to recognize the accomplishment. Guilt diminishes because your day feels full, not from an endless list, but from purpose. You're no longer defined by all you've missed, but by what you've embraced. And each small success builds a foundation of confidence, proving that balance isn't about fitting everything in. It's about giving your best to what matters most. The two things only approach becomes a quiet rebellion against overworking, a path to meaning without the weight of constant demands. You'll find yourself less overwhelmed, more present, and free of the guilt that often follows a frantic, incomplete day. Sixth, Stoic pausing during transitions. The spaces between moments are often overlooked. Meetings bleed into one another, chores follow duties, and the cycle continues. But the Stoics held a secret: Stoic pausing, a practice of intentionally stopping between tasks for clarity and calm. Marcus Aurelius, a man under constant pressure, found strength in pausing. These pauses weren't breaks, but brief respites for reflection. After each task, he'd breathe deeply, grounding himself before the next challenge. In the brief pause, the mind resets, refocusing with calm. After each task, take a deep breath. Feel the ground beneath your feet, the tension release. Even a moment spent this way signals to yourself, I matter here. Guilt finds less room when you're moving from a place of calm rather than rush. In these pauses, you give yourself permission to exist outside of constant obligation. Stoic pausing isn't an act of rebellion, but one of respect for yourself, your time, and the energy you give. This simple practice takes only seconds, but begins to ease the day's weight. As you pause, you return to your tasks with a sharper, rested mind. Soon, these pauses become indispensable, a protective layer against the whirlwind. You'll find guilt receding, replaced by presence and a steady confidence. Seventh, anchor yourself with a single daily reflection. As the day winds down, a sense of mental chaos often descends. Thoughts swirl like autumn leaves in the wind, each one a reminder of what still remains undone. In the heart of this turmoil, the Stoics offer a sanctuary, the practice of a single daily reflection, a moment to anchor yourself amidst the chaos. Imagine Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor grappling with the weight of an empire, retreating each evening to ponder the day's events. He posed a simple yet profound question: what is one thing I am grateful for today? This act was not merely an exercise in positivity. It was a profound acknowledgement of life's small victories and hidden beauties, even when the world felt heavy. Each night, dedicate a moment to reflect on your day. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, and recall one instance that brought you joy or comfort. It could be as simple as a smile exchanged with a stranger, a satisfying meal, or the warmth of a favorite book. This reflection acts as a balm, soothing the guilt that often lurks in the shadows of our minds. Over time, you'll notice a shift. The habit of gratitude will transform your perspective, steering your focus from what's lacking to what's present. With each passing day, this practice helps diminish feelings of inadequacy, allowing you to embrace the moments that truly matter. It becomes a powerful reminder that taking time for yourself isn't selfish, it's essential for living a balanced, fulfilled life. Eighth, honor your first-hour ritual. In the frantic pace of modern life, the first hour of your day is often a chaotic rush. You wake to the blaring alarm, and suddenly, you're thrust into a whirlwind of obligations. Emails beckon, notifications demand attention, and before you know it, the day has consumed you. But the Stoics teach us that this hour can be a powerful opportunity for self-connection and reflection, a time to reclaim your day before it begins. Envision starting your morning like a warrior preparing for battle, rather than a passive participant in the day's chaos. Seneca believed that the morning is a sacred time, a moment to set intentions and ground yourself in purpose. By creating a first-hour ritual, you honor yourself and establish the tone for what lies ahead. What if you devoted this hour to activities that nurture your spirit? Wake up early and resist the urge to reach for your phone. Instead, engage in practices that bring you peace. Meditate, write in a journal, or enjoy a leisurely breakfast. Consider the quiet of the morning your sanctuary, a time when the world hasn't yet imposed its demands upon you. As you cultivate this sacred hour, you'll notice profound changes. Guilt about not being productive will fade, replaced by clarity and calm. You begin to feel empowered, ready to face the challenges of the day with a renewed spirit. By honoring your first-hour ritual, you carve out space for self-care, reinforcing the notion that taking time for yourself is not only permissible but essential. Ninth, embrace the power of deliberate disconnection. In an era where screens are an extension of ourselves, the idea of stepping back can feel radical. Notifications ping relentlessly, pulling you into a vortex of information and obligation. But what if this constant connection is the very thing that breeds guilt and discontent? The Stoics would argue that true wisdom lies in the ability to detach, not from the world, but from the noise. Consider the ancient philosopher Epictetus, who taught that it is not events that disturb us, but our reactions to them. In today's context, this rings truer than ever. You have the power to decide when to engage and when to step back. Embracing deliberate disconnection is not an act of avoidance. Rather, it's a courageous choice to reclaim your time and mental clarity. Begin by setting aside dedicated time each day to disconnect from all devices. Turn off notifications, silence your phone, and allow yourself to exist without external demands. Use this time for reflection, to reconnect with yourself, or to engage in activities that nurture your soul. Read a book, take a walk in nature, or simply sit in silence. This practice creates a sanctuary from the chaos, allowing you to cultivate a deeper understanding of your thoughts and feelings. As you integrate this ritual into your routine, you'll notice a shift. Guilt will be replaced by a sense of empowerment. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the demands of others, you will develop a newfound respect for your own time. The more you practice this intentional disconnection, the more you'll recognize the strength that comes from being present in your own life. In this space, taking time for yourself transforms from a guilty indulgence into a vital act of self-respect and rejuvenation. The journey toward overcoming guilt and embracing the time you deserve is not just about self-indulgence. It's about reclaiming your life. By integrating practices like gratitude, deliberate disconnection, and daily reflections, you unlock a deeper sense of fulfillment and empowerment. Each step brings you closer to understanding that taking time for yourself is not a weakness but a strength. Imagine a life where you prioritize your well-being without guilt holding you back. Ready to transform your routine? Dive into the insights we'll explore next. If you found value in this journey, like this video, subscribe to our channel and check out our other videos waiting for you on the end screen.